Hi, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. Welcome. I'm Jeffrey Morgan, and this is a talk I host twice a week to discuss my experiences on the path of soul transcendence. This offering is brought to you by the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness with the encouragement and support of my friend John Morton, who holds the mystical traveler consciousness, which is the spiritual consciousness that does the work that we're doing here today. If you're new to the call, the format is simple. We're going to start by calling ourselves forward into the light, which is calling our awareness forward into the light of God that's already present. And then we're going to chant three Anai hues. Hue is an ancient name for God, and Anai invokes a quality of empathy and compassion. And then I'm going to play a video clip from my teacher, John Roger. And then I'm going to do a reading from Meister Eckhart, and then we can talk about whatever you would like. So I see Ron Holnick on the call today. So would you call us forward into the light, brother?
Absolutely. Excuse me. Lord God, Lord God of all creation, we come before you this evening with great joy in our hearts, and that joy in the context of knowing that we are participating in the huge awakening that is going on right now on this planet and for all of us. We are so grateful to our traveler, John Morton, and to everyone else in our church, and those who may not be members but still participate. We are just so grateful. So be it.
It is by reflection that you're seen, and the spirit inside is seen by reflection through the eyes. It's seen by reflection through the action. It's seen by reflection in the voice, in the approach, in the caring, in the sharing, but mostly it's seen by the service to the other being. Jesus Christ said, love God with all thy body, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. So some people go up to others and they say, I salute the divinity in you. That isn't what he said to do. He didn't say, go up and salute divinity in them. Jeez, people won't listen. Well, I can't love that person. He didn't say, go love that person. He says, love God, the Father within, with all your body, mind, and soul, and your neighbor as yourself. So you love the Father in the neighbor. And so you do say, I love the Christ in you. I love God in you. I love that in you.
All right. So here's a beautiful selection from Meister Eckhart. One with God. Whoever has God in mind simply and solely God in all things. Such a man carries God with him into all his works and into all places. And God alone does all his works. He seeks nothing but God. Nothing seems good to him but God. He becomes one with God in every thought, just as no multiplicity can dissipate God, so nothing can dissipate this man or make him multiple. All right, what would y'all like to talk about today? Miriam. Oh yeah, I gotta try that.
There. Thank you. That worked. So, light for the highest good. This opportunity for clearing has come up for me, and it's the perfect storm. Can you see those hearts on your end, Jeffrey, when they come up across your screen?
Yeah, I do.
Well, last week when you were talking, and this is a relatively new thing when these hearts come up, they have people's names with them. And what I noticed was that initially it was distracting, but then when it started going across your face and hovered and stayed there, there was a point where I couldn't see your face and I couldn't see what you were saying. And I I shut down
Hmm.
and I couldn't in that moment for some indescribable period of time. It's like the sound was in the background and I couldn't make out the words you were saying. And then the heart started going across the face of the person who was sharing, and I couldn't hear what they were saying either.
Yeah.
And I sat with it. It kept me awake that night, and I've had lots of things like that over this course this week where this has been going through me. And I realized that I grew up in an environment where we lived in an apartment on Broadway, and there were constant police sirens, fire engines, you name it. Just it was a cacophony. And my family's apartment was a cacophony with them and their emoting, their screaming. And so I'm aware that I think my nervous system shut down in that moment. And I've noticed that when people give me instructions, if they say, or they could be in a room at the head of a class or something and giving instructions, and if somebody says, this is important, pay attention, I don't hear it. I immediately shut down.
Hmm.
And so I tried an experiment. I've been playing with this all week. I tried an experiment when I watched you on Saturday, and the hearts and more people are doing it. They were always on to your right hand side, and so I put my hand on the screen and that blocked them, and I noticed that helped my nervous system. At one point I was sending those people light because I figured if they feel called to shoot their hearts up in the middle of sharings and all of that's a call for attention. That's how I saw it. So I was sending them light and all of that, but it was pulling me in two directions. And that's what this does when I see these hearts with the names. It's more than distracting. It pulls me in two different directions. And I see two conversations, one you may or may not want to have. The one I'm focusing on right now is what I can do about this. Is possible on your end, on the tech end, to disable the reactions
I
and to
have
make
no idea how.
yeah, I looked it up. I mean, I just kind of went, and I could disable my reaction and I could do it after people have emoted. But I'm just looking, and I know there's the YouTube recording, but it's not. I really see a lot from the person who's sharing and the face and the lips, and there's something about my cognition where that really supports me to see that and to hear that. So I need to find a way to work with this where I'm not so sensitive, where I'm pulled apart, because I'm hanging off, and this to me is the most sacred experience. And I'm hanging on these often the words that you're speaking and that the person is sharing. And I just feel like I have judgments that it's, disrespectful. I mean, that none of that matters. I mean, the bottom line really is about coping with this and desensitizing this thing because it's been so upsetting to me.
Gotcha. Well, on a practical level, I have no idea. I did notice that it started. I have no idea how it works or how to stop it. And I looked at the host tools and I don't see anything there that allows me to stop it. So I
No,
have no idea.
it's in
Uh,
settings. It's in settings. So, and it's not that I want to control people. It's not about that. It's just there. I mean, there's some of
are
that,
you
but
sure?
there's,
Sounds
yeah.
like you want to control people.
Well, it's the impact on my nervous system. That's what I want to control. I want to control my environment.
Got
And
it.
and sometimes that can look like controlling people. When I'm so distraught on trying to accomplish something. And it seems to be when I'm very focused.
Yeah,
So
and I don't
I
actually
think
know if it appears in the recording. I don't think it does.
it doesn't appear in the recording, but the person who's sharing doesn't appear in the recording either.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, so
For privacy, that's true.
yeah, I've explored all this. Like I'm used to trying to accommodate and to try to make things work. I've had a long history of trying to make things work. I've often had problems with cognition and memorization and stuff like that. So it's been quite something. I love stand-up comedy. I don't go out and do it in public other than the MSIA community because the memorization part is just too hard for me. So anyway, so there's just stuff around that I want to work with this so that regardless of what people do on your end, on the tech end, that it's not, and today when when Ron was calling on the light, the heart was going across his face. When you started talking in your instructions, the very beginning, then hearts were going across, across. I mean, it's like the chat isn't enough for people, and sharing at the end isn't enough for people. And I know there are people who like these. I know there are people who find them distracting. Humans being humans, the response and reaction will be all over the map. But I would be compromising myself if I didn't speak to this because of the impact it's having on me, because it's just getting
Gotcha.
worse.
Gotcha.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, and I actually don't have access to the settings because it's not my Zoom account, but I am but an invited guest, you
Yeah,
see.
it's not for it's you can't
Yeah,
handle it on your end. It's not for your end. It's on, it's
admin
on
or
the
something.
settings and it's on admin. It's for sure on
Yeah,
admin.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's good feedback because I did notice it and it wasn't something that I necessarily remember turning on or requesting. So,
No. And it's fairly new. It hasn't been so all along.
yeah, 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 I get that. And are there other forms of stimulus or stimuli that trigger you in this way?
Um, Loud noises. Um, there was someone, I don't know if they still live here or not, who would park their car not far from my bedroom window. And they
Huh?
had this engine that when they turned on their car, it would feel like it would shake me to the rafters.
Oh,
I mean, I thought it would wake the dead. It was that loud, but it had a real impact on my nervous system.
I see. Yeah, I don't know that it was from your childhood. I'm just taking a look. Like you mentioned that you were at an apartment on Broadway and you thought maybe that was it.
Well, that came up afterwards when I checked in. That kind of came in, and I cried about that. I've never cried about that before. So, I mean, it was just
Right.
um, noisy doesn't describe it.
And when you left home, was it that a shocking experience, like to move out?
Yeah, I went to college in a small town in Ithaca, New York, and initially when there was no sound, it was like I had to adjust to that because that was kind of weird. And then I got used to that. And then when I moved back to New York for grad school and I was back on Audubon Avenue in New York, then I bought earplugs. So it's like, it's been, and now my top requirement if I live somewhere is quiet.
Got it. Hmm. What was it like when you first moved there? When you first moved to Ithaca?
Ithaca. I don't remember it all that well, but I do recall that it was on. Um I was boarding at this sorority, and it was just on this quiet street, and it just felt like my system. I had to readjust my system. I had to I had to get used to a new normal.
Hmm.
And it seems to be a question of degree. Because, at the end, when people, when your talk is over and everybody's sharing hearts and emoticons and all this stuff, I think it's great. I think it's joyful. I think it's wonderful. Because then it feels like there's a space for it.
Yeah, I got it. And, inside of me, I don't really have a condition on the space. So I don't necessarily think there's a space for one thing or another. I mean, to be honest, I started removing people's ability to unmute just because so many people would like be making weird noises without realizing they were unmuted. So it's more of a mercy to all of us.
Yeah.
Um, it's really strange. I almost get like um, the opposite, like you're allergic to quiet. And I know that sounds bizarre because that's what you're seeking out.
I remember a
So
time.
it's as if actually the opposite happened, that your comfort zone or your sense of home was tied to constant noise,
Hmm,
and that when you moved to Ithaca, you shocked the system severely through silence.
hmm.
And then what you said is you recalibrated. And did you experiment with any substances when you were in college?
No.
And was that around you at all?
Um, Yes, I was on this thing called Concert Commission, and they got all these rock bands that were popular at the time. And I remember all these people being in my room, and they were all on Quaaludes and other drugs, and
That's the one. That's the one.
I was probably the only person there who wasn't taking anything.
But you're very energetically sensitive. So, from the perspective of your basic self, it's as if you were taking stuff because they were in your space.
At the time, I know that I remember that situation because it was so odd, and I didn't want them in my room because
Yeah,
I felt intrusive, like, and I felt, and I was very clear. I um had no, I mean, I tried pot a few times in grad school, but that was nothing, I mean, that was not a big
it's not
deal.
that. It was this thing.
Yeah.
So the shock of silence, the shock of drug exposure, even if you didn't use it,
Mm.
and the shock of return to the noise when you went to grad school.
I remember at one point I went on one of Terry Tillman's outdoor adventures, and we had a day where we were in the wilderness, and he situated us so we were far enough away from each other that we couldn't see each other. And some people really liked or loved it, and I hated that because I was used to skyscrapers and buildings, and if I'm in a situation where it's really deserted and there's really no buildings there, it's not urban, that I'm very uncomfortable because it's not my milieu, it's not what I'm familiar with.
Got it. So there's two, that's interesting. You have a silent self and a noisy self, and one of them lives in Ithaca and the other lives in New York. And so there's a contradiction within you in that. So
Mm,
you want to be surrounded by people and you want silence and you want to be. So there's contradictions.
mm.
So it's, yeah. So it's about integration.
How do I do that?
Let's do it through visualization.
Okay.
Visualize the you. It's almost like if you visualize something out of focus in multiple places, and one of those out of focus, like the double vision of it all, one of those is in Ithaca and the other's on Audubon or on Broadway. You understand? And what you're going to do is just visualize both of them coming into focus and becoming one figure, and see almost like a golden light or a golden pillar of light passing down the center of you as it integrates into one. There you go. That one. Yeah. Yeah. That's different.
So it can be quiet and noisy at the same time.
Exactly. It can be quiet and noisy. It can be quiet.
I noticed when I did that how those parts didn't want to come together.
Yeah. But you have both going at the same time, and it creates an artificial sense of conflict. And then the conflict spills over in the form of trying to control people or in the form of physical sensitivities.
Feeling assaulted.
Correct. But what it is one part of you feels assaulted by the other. But if you integrate it, I can be quietly loud and I can be loudly quiet and I can be peacefully frenetic and I can be frenetically peaceful. I know that seems odd. It's just you have two very different lines of karma and energy going through you. So it's about integration.
I would never ever have come to this on my own. You know that. This wouldn't have happened.
I didn't know what I was coming to while I was talking. I was as surprised as you. That cleared it. How's that feeling there now? A little bit more peaceful?
It feels different.
Yeah,
It feels very different.
you seem stronger.
It feels like something's in there that wasn't there before. It's like the
Out of
outside
focus.
has come inside. It's kind of congealed.
That's strong. I like it.
feels good. Well, I mean it. I say good, but it's kind of like it's like if somebody swallows an alien. You know what I'm saying? It's like a
It's just like that. I see it all the time.
but it's just kind of like just this strangeness. It's kind of like a newness and a
Like
weirdness
an
at the same.
integration process.
Yeah, yeah, weirdness at the same time as a newness.
So
Yeah.
it's like the story you tell yourself instead of the story becoming instead of the story being I'm dealing with my high sensitivity, the story becomes I'm integrating all parts of me harmoniously.
I love that. That's a new love.
Yeah, it's a different one. It's a
Love. It's a
different one
different
for you.
love. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we had to go at it a little oblique.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Huh.
there you go.
So I was getting this picture that when I see these hearts with names, I can smush them all up and put them inside you and maybe put them inside me.
That would be fun. You want to try it out?
No. Well, yes and no.
There's
Yes.
one. There's a couple. Yeah.
Oh, they're the instigators.
That's perfect. I love that. Just take them in.
Yeah. See, it wasn't so much for me when they were coming up to the side of you, which is what they're doing now. It's when they were coming across your body and your face and coming across the person who was sharing in the face, where I that was when I lost it.
Well, see them going into me. I'll take all the love I can get.
Mm.
It ain't always easy being me.
I'm sure. Ditto, actually.
You don't find it easy being me either,
No, I don't.
Miriam.
Okay.
May you breathe deep and experience the loving that you are even more fully.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
The basic self's starting to release something, so you might need some water. But after you're done crying, you should cry first, though. Crying's great. I love crying. You can release it by laughing too if you want.
Good.
All right. God bless you.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
All right, Suzanne.
Okay. Well, this was perfect because what Miriam was sharing was sort of relating to what I was coming up with. I was gonna couple things. She was sharing was bringing up some of my issues on hearing and my whole past with being classified mentally retarded and dyslexia, and it's all tied up with audio issues. So I have trouble with these classes. Um, trying to catch everything. And I recognize it's my level of trying to make control, out of the
So,
chaos.
so
Yeah.
you have an auditory processing challenge
Yeah.
that in the wisdom of the previous education system decided
That
meant
was mentally
that
retarded. Yes.
yes, that you had diminished mental capacity. That's
Mm.
not really, I mean, the mentally retarded thing is not something that people say nowadays,
That
thankfully.
was from the 1950s.
Yeah, in the
You know,
1950s, you could say all sorts of things that you can't say now.
no, I mean that was what it was when if you couldn't learn how to read in 1950, you were mentally retarded. So
Oh man.
that's and it
Oh
was very
man.
traumatic and all that stuff. And that's cool. It was something really interesting to experience and go through. Um,
Well,
And the
you actually might have an advantage with the auditory processing thing because,
cool
well, I mean, the words that I'm saying are really not the point.
vibration.
Yeah, well, but it's not the point. There's a spirit that comes through when we're gathered together, and that spirit is in each of us, and it's also around each of us, and it's also through each of us, and we get to experience it more intensely when we're together in the presence of the Christ. And your ability or inability to understand what I'm saying really doesn't matter to me because most of the time I don't understand what I'm saying. Well, I mean, case in point, that last conversation, right? I had no idea what I was talking about. And then all of a sudden, it worked. I felt the energy come in real strong, and I went, well, I guess whatever I was being told to say was the right stuff. Who knows? And I was full of that loving, and I went, oh, well, thank God. That's all you say. You don't really know how it works, but thank God.
Mhm. Well, as a baby, as a child, I had all these out of body experiences
Yeah,
that,
you have a bit of what might be called synesthesia. So part of it is that it's like you'll see hearing or taste seeing, or there's something that happens in between the senses for you. So are you laughing because I'm right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And I
that's
do massage. I've been a massage
hey,
therapist. So like, yeah, because I can kinesthetically, it's how I really
that's
receive
how
it.
you see. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So,
got it.
and I struggled through life till I found that career. And it was like, wow, and I still love it because it's how receive. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the reason I'm actually raised my hand is this relates to spiritual exercises.
Okay, I can. Yeah.
And like I said, I used to have all these experiences as a child, even before I heard, like two, three, four, all these out of body stuff. But then when I got older, I was all judged, we don't do these things, you don't talk about this, that people think you're crazy if you do. And then when I found the movement, I started really love that sense of vibration of peace that I got from that. But I never was able to I think I was afraid to reconnect to the hearing and feeling of inside with my SE. So I do SEs daily and I do my tone, but it's like after a certain point, I just go out and I have no memory. And even when I listen to JR or John Morton, after a certain point, I go out. And
Okay.
I've gotten to the point I'm okay with that because I feel I'm receiving it vibrationally, but I can't tell you what I heard or see, I'm just out. So I don't know. I was wondering about that, your thing on Saturday, the mysticism of sound.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that will be helpful or
Um,
anything you have to say on that.
so I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you saying you don't like going out and not
No,
remembering what's coming back, or like I don't?
I go out of body all the time when I do like listen to the seminars or do the interphasings, and I have no memory. It's just I go out
Okay.
and I don't bring anything back other than it's peaceful, which for me is wonderful.
Where
Um,
does memory occur?
where where does memory occur? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, I don't know the reference to that.
Well, what I'm saying is you're saying you don't have memory of what you experience
Mhm.
when you're out of the body,
Yeah.
traveling with the mystical traveler, right?
Yes.
My experience is memory occurs in the magnetic field, in the magnetic level, which is the psychic material up into the cosmic mirror and down below that. Like if you talk about memory, now there are records that are different. Like if you could say there's a record, there are records that are transcendent of that in a different way. But what I'm talking about when you talk about memory, you talk about something that you can readily access, and the basic self can somehow translate into pictures and stuff that's going on, and then you can somehow express it and talk about it. Like, have you ever tried talking about something that's outside of space and time?
I can't say anything. There's nothing there. Yeah, it doesn't.
Right? Yeah. So oftentimes when people bring back memory of an experience, either it is that they're working on a level where memory exists, because my experience is memory exists on all on many different bodies before the soul or below the soul. Memory, even on a physical level, is all over the physical body. It's not just in the brain. The brain is a great trained conductor and kind of circuitry and interface, but a lot of our thinking is happening in the mental body. So, to some extent, when we go into SCs, spiritual exercises, and we can't bring back memory, chances are we're working at a level where there's no reference point that you would be able to translate back down again anyway. And to some extent, what we experience when we're doing soul travel, to the extent we can remember it, which to an extent is a goal of spiritual exercises, partially because it anchors us in the integrity of the experience and brings, in a sense, a kind of a knowing that can withstand the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. So no matter what happens in your life, you go, well, I know where I'm going after I die. I know what's going to happen. I know what death looks like because I do it every day and I know what that looks like. So there is a value to being able to consciously carry back memory and to be able to use it practically in your life. But there are levels of spirit where it is just very, very difficult to bring back in the information in a way that can be described or in a way that can be remembered or a way that can be processed by your consciousness. And in many cases, that which we bring back passes through a filtration and is mocked up in a way that makes sense to us. And it makes sense to us in terms of like, who are the people we know in our life? Who do we think we are in this life? You get what I'm saying? So we end up, it's not about truth. You experience truth directly as truth when you're the soul at one with the soul realm, at one with the spirit, and you start to go beyond that. You're in a field of truth, and yet paradoxically, you're completely incapable of describing what that is like and what that is. There's no analogy, there's no spatiotemporal metaphor. None of it seems to work. We try to say, oh, it's an ocean of love and mercy. Okay, well, does that mean it's salty? Well, no, it's just that's the closest corollary that we could describe this flowing and this movement of pure, blissful, radiant gold. And the experience, if I had to translate it into human experience, it feels like a giant ocean of love and mercy. It is valuable to have a journal next to you, and it's valuable to mock up what you can about whatever you experience in travel. And it's also valuable that even if you don't remember it, you say, okay, but what if I did remember it? And you just start writing and seeing what comes out. Now that's valuable because it is very, very useful to be able to bring back that awareness and that understanding of spirit. But please don't think that for 1 second that you're doing something wrong or that you're somehow in less than or that you're somehow not experiencing what you should if you're going out of your body with the traveler. And for those of us who can tell the difference, it's like you know when you're doing spiritual exercises and you know when you're sleeping and they feel totally different. And coming out of it feels totally different. Everything feels totally different. Now, your wearables and your technology may not be able to tell the difference, but it just feels like, it's like it's not apples and oranges, it's like apples and elephants. It's like a totally different experience. Now, you may not remember the ins and outs of it, and what you carry back is just a sense of peace or a sense of loving or just a knowing that goes into your core. And it is very valuable as well in this process to ask, to say, hey, I'd like to carry back, dear Lord, if this is for my highest good, I'd really like to bring back some of the awareness and some of the knowing that I have. Sometimes I think when we're walking the high spirit with JR, it's absolutely merciful that we don't remember it, because most of us would just be like, oh my God, I just want to kill myself. I got to get out of here and get back there because it's so blissful and so beautiful. And then we come back in and we still have bodies and we still have karmas and we still have messes and we got to just do it. We got to walk. And it's like he or she wins who endures to the end. And we keep putting one foot in front of the other. But there's nothing wrong. Then, answer to your question, would the mysticism of sound event that we're doing help you with this issue? Well, I don't see any issue. Would it be a fun event for you to attend just because it's a fun event? Yeah, totally. We're going to be listening to beautiful sounds being made by a talented instrumentalist called Paul Kay with a cute British accent. And then I'm going to be piping in with random meditations that come to me extemporaneously. And we're going to be doing kind of our rendition of a jazz performance. And then I'm going to do sharing for 2 hours. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be fun for sure. And we're going to be gathering in the presence of the traveler, not physically, not the physical traveler, but we're in the traveler consciousness and the energy and presence of John Roger and the Lord Jesus Christ. So that's a pretty good deal. Right now, enrollment's pretty low. So we may end up postponing till November because a lot of people are in Italy right now. But yeah, I think it'll be a really fun event. Is it necessary for your SEs? There's actually another event that we're looking to do later that is more based on, I don't know if you've listened to, there's on that which is the endless journey is one, or some, or the never ending journey or something like that. It's Polly Sanderson. I think it's the never ending journey. Polly Sanderson is like doing a meditation where you kind of visualize being on the different realms and they play sound effects. There's also Inner Journey Through Spirit Realms. I also think they play some sound effects on that one. Sometimes it's good to just act as if and do a little bit of a mock-up if it's important to you to hear those sounds and see those colors. But I think I'm not going to say it's a waste, but oftentimes people waste a lot of time worrying whether they're doing all of this wrong. And it's probably a better use of your time just to do a few more hours of SEs, recapture recapture the time you were spending worrying if you were doing your SEs wrong and just do more SEs and don't worry about it because I mean I love when there's times when I'm just chanting for a while and sometimes it really feels like pushing a boulder up a hill because there seems to be so much stuff churning and clearing through that process of chanting the tone into the third eye center. And then sometimes as quickly as I chant my first tone, I'm gone. And I love that because I come back in feeling like I was born fresh, like born anew. And there have been times when I haven't gotten hardly any sleep because of one thing or another. Sometimes it's just the spirit kind of wakes me up. You can call it night watch or something like that. And I won't be able to get sleep, and I'll be like, oh God, I'm gonna be a wreck tomorrow. And then I do SEs for like I'll do spiritual exercises for like 30 minutes an hour. And on paper, I shouldn't even be functional because I only got maximum, even counting the spiritual exercises, 3 hours. And yet I feel totally focused and normal, like nothing ever happened, like it was a normal night's sleep. I'm not suggesting people do that, but spiritual exercises is just a different animal and it has its own intelligence. We don't need to know how spiritual exercises works. We just know that it works. We keep doing them. We keep focusing that tone towards the third eye center. We keep focusing on the Tisra Till. And there may come a time when you're called upon to be more of a commutator of the light that you experience in the places that you go. And sometimes you won't be allowed to leave your body that way. I certainly have had that experience where it's like, oh, well, I really prefer to just go and not remember anything and come back feeling like $1 million. But sometimes it feels like I'm holding open a waterfall where It's like this flow of spirit has to go into this level. And so it's like holding open the door and it's this intensity and you can't leave. You just keep chanting and you listening. You can hear the sound current, but you just can't leave because you got to hold. That'll happen too. But in any case, it's going to happen when it's going to happen in the way it needs to happen because, again, it has its own spiritual intelligence. And the name of the game for me is just cooperation. The way you access intuition is between the senses. It's similar to how you kinesthetically engage. So the way to access intuition is in between the hearing and the seeing and the feeling. It's somewhere in between.
Interesting.
So to some extent, you're wondering why you're not having some of the psychic capabilities and competencies that you had when you were young, right?
Yeah.
You don't have that same level. And then you had a story mocked up that it got shut down because you were negative towards it or because you felt ashamed of it or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not totally true. Part of it was a protection because out of the body travel in the form of astral projection and astral travel has with it an inherent level of risk. And you had studied in a mystery school where that had gotten you into trouble previously. So this time around, you got some protection, and now you just do soul travel. But in terms of accessing your intuition on a practical level, when I talk about intuition on more of the using your psychic centers in terms of just feeling around, because it serves you in your work for sure. But even just being able to use it to comprehend people, even when you don't understand their words. Like we're like you and I are communicating non-physically right now, in addition. So that's going to happen in between senses. And it's like if you were to sense from the center of your head at the tisrotil, if you were to sense from there, it's like not quite hearing, not quite seeing, not quite tasting, not quite feeling. It's like somewhere in between. And if you can sense that, what I'm talking about, you'll start to just get the information from the basic self level for you because you always had that capacity. It's just some of it was shut off as a protection because you would have been tempted into something that would have been centrally intriguing for you, but ultimately would have gotten you trapped again. So,
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I really get that. And I like the way you phrase that. It's in between the different. And I can, rather than, I've been trying to make it mental and linear, and it
it
isn't.
won't. It won't.
And
You could
so,
call it sensing. Like you sense into things. So it's like if I mean you could sense into a stone, connect into the Davic form of the stone.
yeah, I do.
Yeah. So, but it's not, but you tend to try to force it into one sense or another versus keeping it in the space in between the senses. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I really like that. I never thought of it like that way.
Yeah. So that's an answer
It
to that's
feels
an
good.
answer to the
Feels
question you didn't quite ask, but you were thinking.
Thank you. You're very
Okay.
helpful. Thank you.
Okay. God bless you.
Bless
Thank
you.
you. All right, Carlos. We're
Hello.
gonna have to make this one quick.
Yes. So I've been having this sense of shame and guilt in general that I think I learned from Catholicism, and I was raised Catholic. And as I moved to my spiritual work now through MSIA, which I'm grateful for, I still sort of
It's not
feel,
from Catholicism, just for the record.
yeah.
You actually have more of you have a strong history with Islam, and it was more about a time where you were like more mercantile and you've had it quite a few times as a merchant, so you understand how money works. That's so part of the reason you're able to predict whether a business will succeed or fail is because it's almost like you see them through the what most would say is a simplistic lens, in the sense like if you were walking through a marketplace, you understand how the person's stand is set up and what they're selling and how to assess the quality of their wares. But actually, that's a gift because you can see beyond the obfuscation of the numbers. So people will try to convince you that they've got the next big thing, and you'll be looking at a very simplistic, asking basic fundamental questions about their business. Or when you look at the numbers, you can see beyond it and go, well, no, 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 no. I've seen this before. I know how this works. So you have a little bit of a haggler in there inside of you. So in Islam, there is this idea of when you move 1 inch toward Allah, Allah moves a mile toward you. And there's a sweetness to it. And there's infinite mercy. The idea is infinite mercy for any sinner who comes repentant to Allah. In a sense, the guilt is more a yearning to be the sinner who receives repentance and experiences intimacy with God.
Yeah.
And in there was a concept, I think, in the Renaissance and the Catholic Church that would have been similar. Like it would have been what do they call it? Joyful sinner or something like that. The joy of sin. Anyway, so it's like the joy of sinning because you know you get to go to confession and then repent and then you do your Hail Marys and Our Fathers and then you know you're close to God.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
So part of the guilt you're running is an almost like a nostalgia for seeking mercy from Allah.
Yeah, I do.
Yes. So, sorry, I wanted to let you talk, but I figured I'd just cut to the
It's
punchline.
okay,
It's
man.
cool.
It's
I mean, you're good at talking. I like it, but
yeah, yeah.
we gotta, we
It's great.
gotta.
Great.
I was just thinking I gotta cook dinner for the family, so I cut to the punchline.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
so, so entertaining anyway. So part of it is releasing. Well, it'll release right now. So part of it is just releasing that belief that to be close to Allah or to be close to God requires you to be a sinner that repents. So if you just say, I let go of the sinner who repents,
I let go of the sinner who repents.
or I give the sinner who repents to the Christ and I go free.
I give the sinner who repents to the Christ, and I go free.
I am the saint and the sinner,
I am the saint and the sinner,
equally loved by God.
equally loved by God.
There you go, that cleared it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and it feels like a throwing up sensation. When
You said it would be comfortable. You said you wanted to clear it, man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I just didn't know where it came from, and but it's just what you described.
Yeah.
Just
Your
seems to be
basic self was what happened is your basic self integrating a new directive that's contradictory to what you had going. What it would be more accurate to say you thrived in a Catholic context because you had this mentality. So you could play the game of Catholicism very well because you had this, it made sense
oh,
to you because it made sense. So you weren't put off by it. You were like, this is great. I get to be close to God and feel guilty and stuff. But like what we just did now is we put in a new directive to the basic self, or you put in a new directive to the basic self, and then you had to integrate it. So then you wanted to whelp a little bit.
yeah.
Got one of, yeah.
I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It is about 7, but I realized, uh, Nagar, are you calling in from Iran or no? No, no, different Nagar. Anyway. I'll have to get you all next time, and I'll be speaking at 8 a.m. on Saturday. and I very much appreciate everyone joining us tonight. One final call out for the mysticism of sound this Saturday. We are considering postponing it, but if you did want to go and if money was a concern, please reach out to David Jaramillo. Uh, David J at msia.org. Tell him I sent you, and we can accept, a suggested donation of between $50 and $70 if you really want to be there in person or if you really want to be there online. So whatever you can afford. So if for some reason money is the reason you're not attending and you really do want to attend this Saturday, go ahead and sign up. Reach out to David Jaramillo. And if the date changes, we will let you know. But otherwise, thank you all. God bless you. I love you. Peace be still. The blessings already are. And have a wonderful night.